like that's the topic, like, for Bang On and Bullshit this week, right?
You don't have the cow soundbite queued up.
Excuse me, sir. Okay. It's ridiculous. So, the idea here is the title of the article is Why Dems Ought to Take a Cue from the GOP and Get Angry, right? And this is a Politico opinion piece, and I think it makes a sound argument. But I think that it does miss a couple things. It makes a sound argument that basically over the past number of decades, Republicans have switched from being a party of policy, right? I know, if you were a young person, you're like, when were they ever a party of policy? They don't do policy. That's kind of not their thing, Jay. And you'd be right. But back in the day, like in the 80s, in the early 90s, they actually did have policies. We just vehemently disagreed with them. And so they stopped doing that. Probably in the early aughts, they kind of just abandoned those things. And they decided to change it to everything is politics. Everything is the most important thing. And they became the full-on white grievance party, right? And they play at this like whack-a-mole idea of, all right, this year it's gay rights. Let's just scream about it. They're coming for your kids. And then the next thing it's something else. And it's like they're trying to destroy healthcare. Like they make everything an emotionally charged topic to get as much red meat out to their audience as possible to jack them up to go vote. Democrats, on the other hand, have long done and still do the tried and true method, as they see it, of, hey, these are the policies, everything, whatever's going on, we're going to talk about healthcare, we're going to talk about taxes, we're going to talk about immigration, and like pocketbook issues, right? Like that's what we're going to talk about. And that kind of stuff will cohesively bring together our coalition, and that's how we win. And the article basically makes the argument that might be a waste of time. In that you need to give people the visceral response, because that is what they actually respond to. Because John Fetterman, which is where this came from, even said that voters make up their minds based on, quote, visceral, unquote, reactions to politicians, right? So that's how he has played his entire campaign, is like, if they like you, they will come out for you. But if you're trying to give them some boilerplate bullshit, you got to get people hyped up. If you give them some boilerplate bullshit, then they're like, whatever, nerd, right? Like, I see this a lot in this. Is gonna seem far fetched in the beginning, but I'll make it make sense. Like I see a lot of this in like the fitness industry, right? Like I watch a lot of videos and shit like that, and a lot of those people are conservative because they equate conservatism with like toughness. I'm like, Donald Trump is tough. Like this is weird. That guy's never done a push-up a day in his life. Okay. Meanwhile, like Joe Biden's like fighting corn pop or whatever the fuck in the 70s.
Yeah. Riding bikes as Fox News in the background. He's just fucking flashing peace signs at him as he's rolling by.
Fitness, motherfucker. Like, so like he's still doing it. He's 1,000 years old. Like, good for him, right? Meanwhile, fucking Trump doesn't even like walk a golf course. Okay, like Jesus Christ. But
I mean, to be fair, I don't either. So,
I mean, I don't either. Get the fuck out. Carts are awesome.
Yes, they are.
Like, dude, they're fast. What are we doing? So, like, but they see it as toughness because of rhetoric, right? Like freedom and like all of this shit. And it's not that they actually have policies that back those ideas up, but it is so ingrained in people's heads. And look, no offense, but a lot of people in the fitness industry are kind of meatheads, right? Like they are. Not all of them. Some of them are pretty smart, but a lot of them are fucking dumb jocks, right? but they know what they're talking about in their aspects. But like a lot of them fall for that because of like the sloganeering type of shit, right? And it's not because of the actual policies that these people are, I ain't weak, so I don't have to take the COVID vaccine because, I trust my immune system. You trust your immune system? Like, dude, like, that doesn't even make any, all right, like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, the vaccine is to give your immune system, like, the blueprint to fight.
I trust mine, too. That's why I'm trying to give it the data that it needs.
Right, like, that's what, but it's sloganeering, right? And basically their argument is maybe you need to do a little bit more sloganeering and like getting to that visceral emotional response than being a fucking nerd. Right? That's basically the argument. So what say you, Brad? Is that bang on or is that bullshit?
No, I think it's actually a pretty good argument to make. I mean, look no further than Joe Biden, who is literally like Joe the storyteller. Like he's able to relate policy issues into very, everyday American sensibilities. Barack Obama was really good about doing it. One of the reasons that you and I, really gravitated to Elizabeth Warren is because she's really good at doing that as well. And Republicans have people that are good at doing that too, albeit in much more nefarious ways. But but like you said, like when they're yelling about grievance, they don't have to yell about policy, and they're able to successful because they trigger something in the hearts and minds of their voters.
It's the reason
go out for them.
It's the reason Hillary lost. It's part of the reason Hillary lost.
That's why Bernie loses. Bernie's not a storyteller, man.
No, that's true. That's true. He's not. He's a very policy guy, but he gets people riled up, right? But I'll talk.
But he's not. But it's not the same thing.
It's not the same sort of thing, and I'll talk about why I think Bernie is slightly different, right? It's the reason that Hillary lost. It's the reason Romney lost. It's also the reason McCain lost. If you can't get people to fucking like, right? Like they got to feel something. They got to feel something. Look, as much as I think you're 100% correct about Joe Biden being a storyteller, and like younger Joe Biden, like Joe Biden when he was like Obama's VP, like, dude, he could crush you with a fucking story. Like he just like, there's a reason why there's that famous clip of Lindsey Graham saying, like, if you don't like Joe Biden, like, the fuck is wrong with you? Like, look, you might not like this dude's policies, but like as a person, like he has a way of like just getting to you, man. He's got that folksy grandpa shit, and it works, right? And that's why he's always been so successful in politics. But I don't think that's where he won people over in 2020. I don't think so. I think it was one statement that really won him over.
You shut up, man.
Yeah. Because at the heart of that statement was everyone watching going, yeah, dude, we've been like, that's what we've wanted to say to this asshole for 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's moments like that. Look, Reagan saying, here he goes again. That works, man. It works. Yes, we can. Like, remember the first fucking couple times you heard that shit, right? And it was like, oh shit, we might be able to do this, right? Like that statement, yes, we can, is so fucking powerful. It's not about like, it's not in that what I think generic, like Bernie tried to tap into that too. It's that generic, like, it's not about me, it's about you. But that's, and it's a copy, right? Like a lot of people don't realize that. That's basically a copy of Yes We Can, right? It's not about me, it's about you. Like, you will be able to do this. But Bernie missed what Yes We Can was about. Yes We Can wasn't about just, yes, we can win. Yes We Can was about, this is a moment in history. Look who I am. Huh?
Yeah.
Yes, we can make this happen. You can too be a part of this historical moment, right? It mattered a lot, right? If Bernie wasn't saying it's not me, it's you, doesn't work, I'll tell you who it would work for. AOC it would work for. Because people would be like, she's got that way about her that she gets people, she pulls them in. There is a difference in inspiring people and inspiring people to your message and inspiring people to be like your acolytes. Like there's a difference, right? Because you can see it's not that people who supported Bernie like don't like love Bernie and like believe in his message. That's not what it is. It's that they weren't infectious, right? When Obama like when Obama came around and that like yes we can rhetoric and all that other stuff came up, it felt infectious. Like he just started pulling people who were just like on the sideline. They're like, fuck, maybe we can do this, right? Like they were in it, like they got pulled into it. Bernie didn't have that because for all of Bernie's messaging, it came down to millionaires and billionaires are pieces of shit, which is fair, right? But attacking just rich people in general isn't evocative enough for a lot of people. Because guess what? A lot of people wish they were rich. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. Like at its fundamental, it doesn't work because it's like, I was thinking about this today. The only people who think it's like, it's honorable to be poor in this country are people with privilege. Mm-hmm. You know who doesn't think it's honorable to be poor? Poor people. Every single poor person wishes they had money. Every poor person you see struggling doesn't go, I love being poor. I love eating banana sandwiches. No, motherfucker, they'd be like, I'd love to have a jet ski. What the fuck? Yes. So they miss that point because a lot of those kids, and they're, you know, not that everybody was like rich or middle class or whatever, but a lot of Bernie's supporters were people who came from privilege. It doesn't mean they're rich, but they came from privilege of some kind. So it's hard to convince people that have been told that the only way to make it in America is to get wealth, to then hate the idea of being wealthy. It fundamentally just hits a roadblock because people are just like, oh, what the fuck, dude? What if I wanted to be rich? You gonna fuck me over too? And they that's the American psyche. They immediately turn against
not only that, but they equate wealth with success, and so they think, well, these guys must be doing something right. Like that's where a lot of people came in and voted for Trump. Is like they're like, oh, well, this guy has money.
Absolutely,
so clearly he's doing something correct,
right? And he must be smart.
And we should probably listen to him. Yeah,
and he must be smart. Which, no, he is not. He's an idiot. But so, like, I think this article is right, but in order for that to work, people who are policy-driven people need to understand what the game is, right?
Yeah.
You gotta be able to say, like, it's like it's the Fetterman thing all over again. I know what he really believes. I know what his policies are. And I also got to know that when he gets out there, he's only going to talk about, like, he's only working to get evocative responses. I know that.
Well,
but I gotta dig underneath and look at his policies and not get mad that that's what he's doing. You got to let him play that game. You have to let him play that game.
I think you can do a little bit of both though. Like, I think you can build a narrative and you can build a story rooted in policy that you want to advance. And that's the key, is you don't talk about the policy in wonkish terms. You make it accessible for people who don't sit here and listen to political podcasts for 2 hours with two
losers,
you know,
losers.
Like that's how you make that effective. Like a guy like John Fetterman, and I think where he's smart, and I think this is also where Donald Trump is smart, is that they know they don't have to appeal to people like you and me, because you and me are going to go out there and do the research and understand, like, what's at the core of this person from a policy platform. They understand they have to get people who are just out there living their lives, who only think about politics once every 2 years or 4 years. And they have to get that person to go out and vote. Yep. John Fetterman does it by, appealing to a wide swath of people in Pennsylvania, and Trump does it through virulent racism. Both are equally effective, I guess.
6 on one hand, half a dozen on the other. Right. What the fuck, man? But yeah, I like the article. I like the point, but I think, like, you have to let them, you got to be able to let them play that game.
I do think as a party, we need to stop. We need to get offended more by shit that the right is doing, because I think that one of the things that hurt us is that we played things too by the book when Trump was doing his shit. And, and we just like, oh, like the norms will hold, the institutions will hold, like this construct that has been built will weather this storm. And I don't think we realize just how insidious that side of the party and how quickly it was going to manifest itself in Republicans as a whole. So we need to start getting mad about this stuff. Like I do think that the Roe decision leaking out is going to be looked back at as like a huge catalyst for awakening this like emotional response. It is not a coincidence that we're seeing Democrats get pissed off about this white replacement theory bullshit so soon after the Roe leak and how we're reacting to it. Because I don't think if the Roe leak had happened that we would be seeing as raw of a response to this. I honestly, I wonder if the Roe leak happened, if Democrats wouldn't be talking about guns again in the wake of
probably not, right? But it is interesting. It is interesting, and I'm really hoping that people get fired up. Yeah, you got every reason to be fired up. Look, before that mass shooting, there was a bunch of stuff on social media of like women sharing their abortion stories.
Yeah.
That is tapping into a fucking emotion. That is like when you have women telling personal stories about like, this is my abortion story. Like, not just like, these aren't just like celebrity women who are like, man, I just live my life. Like, these are just regular ass women on social media being like, let me tell you about this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You have husbands telling that story, right? You and I both discussed having to see our wives go through DNCs, right? Like, that is an emotional response. That is a very powerful response to a topic. Use it, right? Like, get up there and kick their fucking teeth in with this shit. Look, not only do you have history on your side, not only do you have the right perspective on your side historically, but you have people on your side. You are fighting against a party that pretends that like everything happens because like everything bad that happens is not anyone's particular fault. There are no reasons for it. It's just the devil or whatever fucking bullshit, right? And then you have the other party that's like, no, there are reasons that these bad things happen, and there are things that we can do to stop them. Like, you're upset, I'm up on this stage telling you my story. You're down in the crowd hearing that story. You also have a similar experience. Let's fight together, right? Like, there is strength in numbers. There is power in touching at the heart of a person in politics. There is. Like, for a long time, people forget. It's a long time in politics that's all politics was.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get to fucking touch the heart of that person standing in that crowd? And I think Democrats have long forgotten that, right? And look, we're the nerds, right? Like, I get it. Like, the fucking other guys are the jock assholes, and and they're the alpha betas, and we're fucking lambda. I get it, right? Like, it's not lost on me, right? But guess what? The nerds were the heroes in those movies. And they're also perverts, but the nerds were heroes. That first Nerds movie is like wildly unacceptable by today's standards. Jesus Christ.
Wildly acceptable by today's standards, but perfectly acceptable by 1980s standards.
Oh, 80s, it was fucking PG-13. Like, what the fuck? Dude, they broke into a sorority and had a camera in it. I'm like, dude, like, this is not cool. This is not cool. Roll it again. But God, I watched that movie so many times when I was a kid. Like, why are my parents not coming in and stopping me? But like, we are the fucking nerds, right? Like, even the nerds in that movie were more diverse, right? Like, they were black, they were white, they were gay, they were Asian, like, they were more diverse. It's okay to be the nerds, but guess what? Sometimes, like, you got to have the rockin' fucking concert at the end. It's not all about like math shit, right? Like, you got to use your nerd shit to win. And the only way you're going to beat these guys is to get an emotional fucking response. And you do that by telling stories. You do that by getting really good at sloganeering. You fucking hit them, man. You hit them. And when you hit them, don't back off. The basket of deplorables was a good hit. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that hurt Hillary is that liberals backed off of it. Oh, she shouldn't have said that. Fuck no, she should have fucking absolutely said it. You should have backed her and been like, you know what? These motherfuckers do belong in a basket of deplorables. Because guess what? At the end of the day, she was right. She actually was right. But Republicans said, oh, you shouldn't say that. And liberals were like, you're right. She shouldn't have said that. I'm like, yo, back her, dude. If you just do what Republicans do, don't apologize. Say that shit and stick with it. It is a basket of deplorables. And then start cranking out fucking t-shirts the next day. Work that shit to an angle that you can get people riled up. That's how it works. I have a t-shirt idea I shared with the two of you. I'm going to do it because I know it'll get people fucking hyped up. Good. It should. That's the whole fucking point. It should piss you off. It should go after people and get, like, you should feel a response when you see shit like that or hear stuff like that. And when you do, you get people to come out and go, yes, we can. And then they vote.
Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.